No, she's just, she's helping a friend. She's visiting a friend.
And welcome to the Claremont Center for Spiritual Living, which is part of the Global Centers for Spiritual Living, whose mission is a world that works for everyone. So, this morning, I'm Reverend Mary. Reverend Tracy is back east right now, taking care of some business. And playing with us today, we have a treat. You guys didn't realize when you walked in. We have this super treat. We have, for our musicians, Reverend Track and the Jacksons.
A new trio.
Yes, a new trio. And Reverend Track is double duty. He's also a practitioner today. So yes, we're happy about that too. So welcome, and let's join together, because we are in this great place at this perfect moment and this perfect time. So let's stand up and let's sing our way in. wherever we are, is where it is. And so let's move our centeredness, move our consciousness and our presence to this place. Taking that deep breath and releasing all that's outside of this moment, outside of this room. Just allowing ourselves to sink down into that place where all is quiet. And allowing ourselves to be fully present.
So God is everywhere present in everything. For the very essence that is God is created everything. The things that exist here wouldn't be here without this magnificent force that we call God or Spirit. And some mystics would say that love is the same as God, that it's love that created us into being through loving its own self, and that we are the very emanation of that. That when we move and breathe and create through our thoughts and our actions, that they are imbued with the energy of love. And that means I'm imbued with that energy. No matter how I may look or appear, and in any given moment, that thread, that strand underlying love is always there. It's always there. And that truth stands for all beings, whether they're on 4 legs, walking on the ground, or 2 legs like us, or a plant or a tree, it doesn't matter. This force of love is within each and everything. It expresses through it in its own unique way. And when that kind of love is there, there is a pervasive strength and peace that is carried with it. For with love, anything approached through love has a strength to it, a dignity and a beauty. So we know without a doubt that no matter what the world is looking like, how things unfold, that love is there, that peace is present, because that is the truth of what this energy that created each and every one of us, this God, this great Spirit, that is the truth of it. And we are a piece of that, expressing it. Isn't that a great thing to know? Really, that's a beautiful thing. And it's a reassuring thing when you feel yourself removing your mind from the truth of that. You can just take the rudder of your heart's ship and just put it right back on that love again. And remind yourself the truth of it. So we know this, and we release this understanding as the words come out of me into your mind and move around in this collective consciousness. It is so, and it is so, and it is so. So I have a few quotes here. I always have a few. I like to do that, have a few. The first one, which I think actually is the best, is by a man named James A. Harnish. And this is what James said. Is it possible that our world still knows better how to deal with a bandit, a murderer, an insurrectionist, than it knows what to do with the Prince of Peace? There is a sense in which an assassin's attempt on the Pope's life is less shocking to our world than the Pope's forgiveness of him. Is it possible that we would rather deal with raw power that rides on a stallion than with this one who comes on a donkey, with the weapons of love, patience, suffering, and peace? Given the choice, isn't it possible that we would take Barabbas too? This one is from the book New Ways to Solve All Problems. Already I thought, this is good with a title like that. The person who wrote this is Lowell Fillmore, who's the oldest son of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the founders of Unity. This is what Lowell said. It requires true bravery to express non-resistance and love. When we are truly brave, we shall overcome the strife of the world. The world will never know peace, and men will never be happy in association with another before they learn that evil must be overcome with good. There is no other way. And I know we don't normally say evil or good, but I just take that as knowing that that could be compassion and love. It can be all right. The last one is a quote by Christian Sorensen. He's a spiritual leader, an author, a speaker, very well known. And I don't know if he is currently a minister at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living in Encinitas. Is he still there? Okay. He's apparently quite phenomenal. And this is what he said. The power of love can transcend any challenge. If we are willing to step into the consciousness and send the loud signal of love, it will lift us out of the most precarious of situations. There is a warmth bringing us from fear and doubt to courage and trust. And now I'd like to call the Jacksons forward. We're going to do a little music for you. And since I'm standing here at a mic, I might as well just say it. Please don't wait for me. I'm just going to talk briefly. We decided, we made a commitment, the three of us, that we were going to start collaborating from this time forward, making music together. And this piece that we're going to do is something that I was fiddling around with once, and Larry just joined me. It was after the interfaith service that we had this year. And what we're doing today, when I play this and replay this, I was thinking of the monks who just completed their walk from Texas to Washington, D.C., and now they're back in their monastery. The music, it just has that way that it just starts gently and tentatively, but with strength, and it just plods along in the most peaceful way. So I hope that the three of us can exemplify that energy for you today, and that as you listen to that, you get some of that peace and understanding of the noise. Join consciousness all around. Let's start on the musician.
I could just imagine walking with loves going on. How beautiful. So, we light our candle this morning. Okay. So, another one. There we go. For love. And for that love that's that deep commitment, that's unwavering and unconditional. So February is the month of love, right? Yes, it's also Black History Month and it's President's Day month and all of that together. But it's still that month of love because Martin Luther King, Lincoln, Washington had that deep commitment. They loved humanity. They loved each and every person on this planet. So it is definitely, and they respected everyone. And in Paul, Corinthians chapter 13, he says, I may speak in tongues of men or angels, but if I am without love, I am a sounding gong or clanging cymbal. I may have the gift of prophecy and know every hidden truth. I may have faith strong enough to move mountains, but if I have no love, I am nothing. I may dole out all I possess, or even give my body to be burned. If I have no love, I am none. So Valentine's Day was yesterday, and what's it all about? I got to spend my Valentine's Day with my love, my son. We spent 5 hours just talking and talking and talking. You know, and what parent doesn't just love that with their child, adult child, to be able to spend that kind of time. But Valentine's Day traditionally started about 1400 years ago, and way before that, in 2069 thereabouts, there was a Roman priest who was very affable, and most of the leaders in Rome really liked this guy, except he was really committed to his faith and his Christian beliefs, and asked the people around him to do the same. Now, one guy kind of did, and he said, okay, I'll convert because I like you that much and I believe in you that much, and his entire family did it. The next emperor said, well, I don't really know, let me think about it. And then, I guess in those days, you could be drafted if you were single, but not if you were married. So St. Valentine went around marrying all these young guys, so they wouldn't have to go to war. He got in big trouble for that one. He got in prison and eventually executed for defying the emperor when it came to those kinds of things. It also is said that what he did is he cut out little hearts and sent them to all the people that he married. So that's where the hearts come from. In marriage, we first fall in love, right? We fall in and we fall in love. That initial attraction, that initial together. But if you're married long enough, that initial flirtatious feeling starts to take a second to a deeper feeling. One that is more committed, that's deeper known and a deeper understanding, that has more respect for the actual person of your partner. So we begin to see them. We see them in their best, we see them at their worst. We see their joys and their sorrows and their hurts and their angers. We really see who they are. We see their values, because there's no hiding. And when that person screws up, as we all do, it's easy to give them the benefit of the doubt because we already know them and we already love who they are. We often do this with our best friends because we have experienced much of those same things together. We've gone through a lot of experiences, the highs and lows together. And it's easy to do this when we see a newborn baby. Because what is that baby? It's just this pure innocence. They don't have anything to really judge yet. So we just fall in love. Paul also says in Corinthians that love is patient, love is kind, and envies no one. Love is never boastful, nor conceited, nor rude, nor selfish. Not quick to take offense, love keeps no scores, does not gloat over the men's sins, but delights in the truth. There is nothing love cannot face. There is no limit to its faith, hope, and endurance. So if this is true about love, why do we hold back so often? We take that chance in our personal relationships. But when it comes to strangers or people who have other ideologies in life, and even just normal strangers, we don't even know what they think yet. Why do we hold back? Why do we condition our love? Well, we condition it because of that expectations. We're afraid, what if they reject us? What if they, abandon us? What if they judge us? And more importantly, you're judging them, and what about them and their ideology, and I don't believe what they believe, and how can that possibly happen? But we're also afraid of exposing ourselves. To truly love, we have to be fully open, because love comes from that deepest part of ourselves. What if somebody sees my flaws? sometimes we say, well, you know, we don't really know ourselves, but we know all those flaws in ourselves. We know each and every time that we've ever said something stupid, that we've ever made a mistake. We know that there's this little mole here on the back of my shoulder. We know all the little things about ourselves. And we try to hide that. So we turn our relationships into negotiations. Well, I will love you if you can X, Y, Z. You know, if you like what I like, if you believe what I believe, you know, if we have certain conditions, I will love you if you meet my checklist. And in turn, I will give you A, B, C. Again, it's a checklist. You know, I won't say mean things, I'll be kind, you know, and I'll show up, you know, at your birthday. You know, we have things that we negotiate with. But unless that X, Y, Z, and A, B, C is allowing you, you know, I will allow you to be open and honest and authentic, and you will allow me to be open and honest and authentic, and we will allow it and embrace it and accept it. Unless that's the case, it's really just a negotiation. Now, as people of faith, we all know that God is love, right? Everybody sit here, oh, God is love. We you know, we say that all the time. God is love because, and what is that love? That love is that self-givingness of God. Always flowing, always giving. God is not capricious with his love. It's just always giving, giving, giving. Sometimes we step on the hose and we don't receive the givingness. But it's always flowing, it's always there. So the truth is, if God is all this givingness, and we are created in the image and likeness of God, well, aren't we loved too? We have to be. Because we're made out of it. So that has to be within us. So that self-givingness can come from us. And it's really our true nature. From the depths of our heart, that's what we really want to do. When we lose somebody, either in separating or in death, why is it that we grieve? We grieve because we can't, you know, engage actively in that love. So we have to adjust. So there's a part of us that just wants to keep giving and loving. And that's the grief part, is how do I ship that love? Our egos tell us that love is not really safe. When we love, we're very vulnerable because we're giving of ourselves. And could it be rejected? Yeah, it could be. Could we be judged? Could be. So our egos tell us it's really not safe. And it's right. You know, actually, it's not safe entirely to leave your house. But we did. Right? Because we say, well, it's a calculated risk. You know, I know that a lot of people leave the house and nothing happens to them and they return, and therefore I think I can, so we calculate this, and it's an educated risk, so it's limited. When we enter relationships with friends, or even a partner, it's a risk. And we sit there and calculate, how much of a risk am I willing to take on this person? And we study it, and some of us are more risk averse than others. Have to say, I dated my husband 5 years before I said okay. By that time I said, oh, okay, we'll risk this. And he did the same. So it's a risk, and anything that we do, any relationship that we have, because we can get rejected, things can change. People do change, or sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do, and we don't really know for sure. what's gonna happen. So, loving is living on the edge. That's the theme for this month of February, is living on the edge. And loving certainly is living on the edge. Particularly when we want to love someone who's very different, or we don't know. What if they reject me? What if I don't like them? Like it's not love. So, the differences that we look at. Now, I like vanilla. I like vanilla ice cream. I like white cakes. I like white chocolate. I do not like chocolate very much at all. Really don't like chocolate ice cream. And some of you are sitting there going, how can you possibly not like chocolate? Everybody likes chocolate. I don't know. Just don't. So we could argue when we're going to have a party together over whether we're going to buy chocolate or vanilla. Or we can go to the store together and buy both. And go home and party together. And not question the other person's taste. Translating this to our relationships, people are just different. Their thoughts, their beliefs, their values, their whole paradigm about the world is often different. And what I have found through my time here on this planet is that most decisions and beliefs that people have don't come from here. They come from here, in their heart. They're based on feelings. We make our decisions based on what we're feeling, whether it's openness and joy or fear and hurt. And then we use our rational logic, if we're a thinking person, we use our logic to justify the decision that we made because we felt that. The thought doesn't come first, the feeling comes first. And then we get our thoughts to match. So when we look at the news on TV, and we're watching people during these debates, or sometimes even a news interview, and the people start shouting back and forth in debate, and they try to shout over each other and shout over each other. And it gets louder and louder and louder. Nobody's listening to anybody. They have no idea what the other person's really saying or thinking. They may be on two different topics and they wouldn't even know it because they're not listening. Kind of reminds me of when I was in my 20s and we'd go clubbing, and you'd go into these clubs, and it was sort of like the louder the band, the less good the music was. And I think I used to have this thing going, oh yeah, we may not be good, but boy, we're loud. And that was supposed to make up for not being very good, because it would just consume you, it was so loud. And nobody was really listening, and nobody was really paying attention to each other. And I remember getting up and dancing with somebody, and it was like he was just in this loud whatever, and I left the dance floor, and he's still dancing. He didn't even notice for a while. We get like that in our relationships. We just don't pay any attention. And then we assume, when we do look around, we assume that other people do the same thing that we would have done for the reasons we would have done it, without even knowing really the intention or the motivation behind it. Again, people do things because of a feeling, not because of what's in their head. And we assume that, well, if I did that, it would be because I'm pissed off. maybe they aren't at all. They just have their brain somewhere else, or their heart is on something else, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what you think. Because we all know what assuming means. But we do it all the time. We make up stories about why people did things, and this is what they did, and then, you know, all the time we do that. And the loud noise gets louder and louder. The chaos that's going on around us in our country and our politics is getting louder and louder and louder. But have you ever noticed when you're in a room and people are really listening, it's very quiet. It's very quiet. When each of us is listening, when I am listening, my brain goes quiet because I'm not picking up my own thoughts of what I'm going to pontificate about in a minute. If I'm really listening, my own thoughts are quiet. When we first begin to listen, we start to want to understand. A few months back, I went to visit my oldest son, and he has, in the last few years, joined a church that's very conservative, and basically, if you don't go to his church and do exactly as they do, even if you're Christian, you're really not Christian. And we're all going to hell. And this is my son, who I love very much. And at one point, he asked me, he says, do you just think I'm ignorant? And I said, no. And as I was thinking, no, you're just hurting. Because 5 years ago, thereabouts, his half-brother died of COVID. He was young, in his early 40s, and he just couldn't make sense of it. He's still hurting. And he's looking for something to heal himself. So it wasn't my place, and it wouldn't have done any good for me to say, yeah, you know, logic says blah, 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 blah. That's not the point. The point that is he was hurting, and he just needed love. He wanted that guidance, and in his church they tell you what to think and what to do, and that's what he needs right now. Just like when he was 18 and joined the army, you know, that's what he needs, you know. And so it really wasn't for me to do that, but simply to love him and to be there for him. And to recognize that God will heal him at the right time, when he's ready. But it's not to say that I had to give up who I am in order to let him be who he is and where he is right now. I did tell him what I thought my mission as a minister is and what my faith is. And then I let it go. So we can honor someone else and honor yourself at the same time. So often we feel like, well, if I respect what that person believes in or says, I'm giving up what I believe in. But that's not the truth. The truth is we can allow somebody to be where they're at, to believe what they need to believe, and hold on to ourselves at the same time. It's hard to do this sometimes because we have that self-doubt. But if we can remember that we are that divine spark, that divine creation, if we can first love ourselves and honor ourselves to the point of just saying, I am confident in who I am. Yes, I do make mistakes. Sometimes I make margaritas and forget to put the cap on them. Okay, you know, I've done that more than once. or make coffee and don't put water in the pot. That happens. We all do that. But if I believe that God made me, am I going to say, okay, yeah, God, I realize you made me in your image and likeness, but really, man, I mean, did you see that kink over there and that crack here? Did you really, couldn't you make me a little smarter? Couldn't you give me a little more talent? Couldn't you? Are we going to question God in His creation? And if we're not going to question God in His creation, then who the heck are we to doubt that we're perfect creation, growing and evolving in a perfect way? We're not the same as we were yesterday. We're not the same as we're going to be tomorrow. But for this moment, we're just who we're meant to be. And that's okay. And the other person over there, that's why they were meant to be. Right now. In the 4 pivots, Sean Ginwright explains that the problem with fighting for peace is if we don't have peace in our own hearts, or fighting for racial equity, if we don't feel equal in our own hearts, if we haven't healed ourselves, we're fighting as wounded warriors. And we're not very effective. When you're sick, are you very good at your job? That's right. But when you're feeling healthy and vibrant and you're out there. So when we can love ourselves and feel healthy and confident that I'm just the way I'm supposed to be right now. And if anybody says any different, well, they just don't understand. But that's their problem, because they don't need to know me. They only need to know themselves. It's extra to get to know somebody else. That's the icing on the cake, when you really get to know somebody else. So for us to come from a place of love is to see more love, we have to be more love. We have to love ourselves, because we can't give from an empty cup. We can't give what we don't have. So where do we go with this? Well, let's do a little example. If we have, so let me give you a little example here. So if I, while wildly telling you a story, knock over a glass of red wine on your white tablecloth, am I a bad person? If I bump into you running to my car in a hurry because something just happened at home, am I a bad person? If I say something unknowingly that hurts you, am I a bad person? If I get angry at you, am I a bad person? If I vote for something that you are vehemently opposed to, am I a bad person? If my ideology is different, am I a bad person? And my values. So as we move through this, the first one was probably easy to say, no, everybody spills something once in a while. But were you able to go through each one of those scenarios and say, no, you're not a bad person, or, maybe, or start placing judgments? Can we separate the person from the behavior all the way through, no matter what it is that they're doing? So love does not require supporting behavior. It only requires supporting the person and loving the person, not the behavior. says, love will never come to an end. Are there prophets? Their work will be over. Are there tongues of ecstasy? They will cease. Is there knowledge? It will vanish away. For our knowledge and our prophecy alike are partial, and the partial vanishes when the whole has come. And he also says, when I was a child, my speech, my outlook, and my thoughts were all childish. When I grew up, I had finished with the childish things. Now we see only puzzling reflections in a mirror. But then we'll see face to face. My knowledge now is partial, then it will be whole, like God's knowledge of me. In a word, there are three things that last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. So we hold on to love that we have for our partners and our friends. Even when they screw up, we give them the benefit of the doubt. But when we take it to the limit, when we actually move and take it to the limit, it's hard. It's hard. What I'm talking about today is not that easy thing, and that's why I'm saying we're taking it to a limit. But humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. And love for others is not loving yourself less. It's loving yourself enough to love others, to truly love others. It's hard to start. However, you may have a favorite recipe that you make all the time for dinner. The first time you made it, you had to follow every little line in the cookbook. But now you don't need to even open the cookbook. You got it. You've practiced it. You've made it enough times. And oh well, if something, is slightly different, that's okay. You're all right with that. So the same thing happens when we love. At first it's kind of hard because, you could be rejected or you could not be rejected. Most of the time when we come from the heart, there is no rejection, because how do you reject a smile? How do you reject someone who just loves you? It's really hard, and eventually you crack open. We all make human mistakes, and what I have found that every mistake that I make that I don't hide gives someone else permission to make their mistakes. Because we all make them. We just think that we can hide them. So we need to forget about displaying our perfection and just turn around and be ready to serve the world with that confidence inside, because we know who we are. And the greatest thing is when we love, there's a freedom. There's a freedom that comes with it. Because we're not worried about anything. We're not worried about how someone's going to see us in this world. I kind of think, a friend of mine coined this term on the fringe of a fractal. And a fractal is that little particle floating out in outer space in a wide open area. And we're on the fringe, and then we're just floating around with total freedom. Because we know who we are. And we can honor and love and be in awe of everyone around us. We may not understand why somebody thinks what they think until we ask, well, what are you feeling? How does that make you feel? Last night when I was talking with my son, he said, I don't like all of the things that Trump does, but this giving us $1,000 for each kid sounds pretty good. And I said, well, do you know he's first going to tax you to get that $1,000, and then he's going to put it in that fund for your kid's college education. And he goes, yeah, but poor people, then they'll have that college fund. And I go, yeah, that means you'll have to pay twice the amount that you want for it, in order to have that $1,000. And he said, yeah, that's probably true, but it feels good. It feels good. We work from our feelings. So if we take time to understand each other's feelings, what's behind the belief, what's behind the thoughts, then everything else becomes, okay, I get it. If you feel that, I get why you do or think what you think, if that's your feeling. So today, I'm inviting you to go out with me on that crimson. Take it to the limit, to be vulnerable, and it's scary, yeah, it's scary. Like being on the merry-go-round, if you remember being on the merry-go-round, riding round and round on the edges. You know, if you jump off while it's spinning as fast as you can, you could get hurt. But it's worth the freedom. It's worth that exhilaration of riding the merry-go-round. It's worth that freedom of being out there. So it's hard to get started, but once you're out there, the blessings are amazing. The freedom is worth the effort. So I invite you to go on that little journey with me. And Imani's going to play us a little song. Take this into prayer. Oh, God is love, and we are love. And God is all strength and all power. And so at this time, in this moment, we open ourselves to that strength of the divine, to help us take it to the limit, to help us be courageous, be confident, to love ourselves, and that's to love others. We receive God's love in all its unconditional ways, soaking it up, becoming stronger in that love, knowing that this is who we are, this is our full expression, and as we walk out amongst the world, we walk with that Christ consciousness, that love within ourselves. We were born lovable, valuable. We will always be valuable and lovable. We just take that in gratitude. Gratitude for this truth, gratitude for knowing it, gratitude for being in this world where we have an opportunity to express the fullness of who we are. And as we sit in that gratitude, we can say to ourselves, and let it be so, and so it is. And so I invite the Jacksons and Jack to join us. We'll do our affirmation afterwards.
So we're taking it to a limit today. Oh, there we go. Sorry. So we're taking it to a limit today, meaning we are moving beyond our limited consciousness on just what we can do and what we can't. We have only done this a few times together, and that was magic when we did this last night, wasn't it? This is based on something that the Jacksons have written, but we're improvising on it. So what you get to see is when individuals join in consciousness and are open to this flow, as we call it, and what energetically comes out of it, you get to see it in the form of music. So I hope you enjoy this flow.
This is a song that we wrote a few years ago. It's an instrumental, and we don't write instrumentals, but occasionally we've written a couple, and they're always for our kids. So, speaking of love, this was written for our youngest daughter, who is a couple of months ago gave us our third grandchild. No, he gave me. Three.
It's her third child.
It's
We
better
have
if
two
he
more
speaks.
Matthews, so we have a total of 5.
Anyway, her name is
Oh, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. So let's do our affirmation together. It's in your bulletin, but for those people online too, so if you would just repeat after me. There it is. I am unconditionally loved for who I am. I look first from a place of love. And now let's do our offering, our collection, our tithing. Let's say our affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. And ladies, when you're finished, you want to bring it back up? And so we take this symbol of ourselves, the symbol of the energy that goes with us. And today it's full of love. And so we know that as this money moves from this place, that it moves with love. And every cent that carries with it goes with the love that's in our hearts today and spreads out over and over throughout our community and perhaps even the world. So it is. Okay, things going on. Let's see. The flowers today are given to us by Marley Wardy. Thank you, Marley.
You're Marley.
See what it says? This Wednesday night, we have our interfaith prayer and share circle. For those that haven't been, what we do is we begin it in a big circle and we pray, and it's interfaith. We have Baha'i, we have Unity, we have us, and Episcopal orientation. So we have, it's very interfaith. And then we break into circles and we have a few questions that relate to what's currently going on in the world around us. And so we're able to share our feelings about how we're feeling about it. We're able to share things that we do to find peace in this world. And then we close again with prayer. So that's this Wednesday at 6:30 here in this room. The Reiki share is February 21st. That's next Saturday. And that's at 1 p.m. And if you haven't really experienced the Reiki share, you can talk to Sue today. Sue's one of our Reiki masters. It's a very healing, energetic experience. And the big thing is next Sunday, yes, this very next Sunday, February 22nd, is our annual meeting. It will be held right after the service in the hall, and pizza will be served. Pizza and salad. And so you won't go hungry. And then we'll give you a little bit of time to eat, to get your booklets. We'll have a booklet that you get. And at this annual meeting, you find out how things have been going through the year, what we plan for next year, and who our new board members are going to be. We have a couple of new board members coming in and a couple going out. Sorry to lose you, Jack. So, because you gotta keep that board moving and changing to get new energy and new ideas going on. So that's our annual meeting. To vote in the, although there's not much to vote on, you need to be a member, but to come, anybody can come. So please come and join us. There's also the Circle of Chairs is coming, which is a big thing. It's coming on March 7th, and that's at Pittsburgh College. There's usually about 60 to 70 people at the Circle of Chairs. And the Circle of Chairs is a circle that discusses issues related to racial equity and ethnic equity. And so those 60 or 70 people are broken up into circles of no more than about 7, sometimes less, in each circle, and it gives you time to share and learn how others are feeling. It's a great way to learn to listen. If you need practice learning to listen, it's a wonderful experience. And there are some flyers in the back on that. And I think that's all of our announcements for today, unless anybody has anything else that they would like to bring up. No? Okay, well, we have coffee and goodies in the snack room just through that door with the banner on it. And let's all stand up and circle around and sing our way out.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We want to live life. Together, we come together, in the name of